to these very dire predictions and so forth on it, and we need not participate in nor worry about the paper debt economy. True, it means that instantly if you had a paper debt attached retirement, you no longer have that, and you need a new way to live in the universe for your retirement years. But nonetheless, you need not run on out and shoot yourself just because your illusionary dollars have floated away, because they're going to float away for the whole planet. And we need to just restructure how humans behave relative to this new environment that we're finding ourselves in. And you note, if you watch things like Bloomberg and CNBC, you're going to see that a lot of their labeling is now trying to direct you into the idea of, quote, a new economy.
Yes, that's very,
okay,
very true.
And that message is there. It's underlying everywhere, and they're going to soon have the new currency to get you all hung up on attachment to debt again and getting involved with this new currency, and somebody's going to presumably take the new currency in exchange for their real goods. Well, maybe some of these Chinese that produce the real goods aren't going to be so quick to do so.
Yes.
So I don't think it's going to go over, but nonetheless, that memering is out there.
You know, there's something very interesting that whenever they started the bailout packages for Wall Street, the banks, the public didn't like that at all. I mean, they sent hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to congressmen and senators saying, don't pass this. Of course, it didn't get passed, and then they put a traffic cop, if you will, on their websites to kind of monitor and kind of slow those emails down a little bit. And then they changed the name of it from bailout package to economic recovery package.
Or rescue. Rescue came first.
Yes, rescue came first. So they had to word it right because they realized, okay, well, the bailout doesn't sound too good. People don't like that. So they changed the name of it. And they do that quite often with a lot of things, don't they?
Oh, sure. If you're paying any attention at all to broadcast media or corporate controlled or owned media, you're subject to very deliberate censorship and word substitution and mind control. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you'll notice that Microsoft and a number of other companies have recently received patents on the idea of unobtrusive net censorship, such that you write an email in which you use very nasty words about the current political structure of the United States, for instance, and you send it to your buddy in Alabama, and along the way, that gets involved in one of these little censor bots, and it takes out all those nasty words and substitutes other words that are more kind and favorable to viewing to the view of that particular political administration. Mm. And your recipient doesn't know that it's been done.
Yes, that's very true.
And you're not aware of it unless they reference it back to you and so on. And you say, what? I didn't write that. And this is an attempt to filter the net and apply censorship and thought control at a very blatant level. And there's the fact that there's 40 or 50 patents for these kind of software techniques is rather discouraging. And in fact, they're putting up one of these in Australia, which is going to cut off about 90,000 servers to me, and really is probably foretelling the death of my technology.
That's very true.
If that's happening, it eliminates it.
Yeah, because they're actually talking about doing intranet systems, like a lot of the countries actually do. They do these intranet systems, but and it's just a matter of time before it gets to the United States. All right, next caller, you are on. Your name, where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Carol in Colorado.
Hi, Carol. How are you tonight?
Just wonderful. Hey, thanks for having Clif on. I just love him. And I was wondering about the silver float information that was coming through on the Webbot report.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that about the silver which?
Floats. It was talking about the gold and silver.
Yeah, we're reaching, apparently, as part of the current desperation and the dissolution of the dollar, we're reaching the point at which they'll no longer be able to manipulate the silver and gold market. This is both good and bad. It will be good for those people that own silver and gold in that the nominal price in dollars will rapidly escalate, probably. What we really get out of it is a hint that silver and to a slightly lesser extent gold will float back to historic means, and that further relationship to each other, so about 12 to 1 or 16 to 1 ratio of silver to gold, but also that we may be seeing the potential for hard metal, probably currencies, in the sense of gold coins, etc., on a 1-to-1 value to reach about 3 times the level of the nominal paper debt indices, which would be like the Dow. So, for instance, the Dow Jones Industrial Average may fall to 300 in our particular model, and at that time gold would be worth $900. Now maybe dollars or cows or whoever knows what we'll be using as currency at that point, but the ratio is what's important.
Right. Was there a time frame? Have you seen that coming?
We're actually picking up that the gold and silver markets begin to react to the wealth destruction which is currently underway, and our reaction. Let me get my glasses on here and I look on the chart. It looks that we'll start seeing visible signs about the 14th of February, which is about when we leave this current state of release language and go into a little building tension language period for about 2.5 months.
Wonderful. Well, I love your work and keep it up. Thanks so much for having me on, Captain Jack.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Calling, yeah.
Bye.
The gold and silver market has been kind of all over the place recently, hasn't it? I mean, I was watching it for a little while there, just as the bailout package, I like to still refer to it as that, got under.
No, I'm sorry. I have to correct you. What you were watching was the televised reports of the illusionary paper gold and silver market.
Oh.
If you actually had gone on out and tried to buy gold or silver, you would find yourself in an entirely different market.
Oh, yeah.
So, for instance, they're theoretically selling gold or silver. Let's take gold. I think it's like around $800 or something on the spot market. But if you actually try and obtain a gold coin, at least in any of the areas of the planet that I've surveyed and my local region, you'll be paying several $100s above what they're quoting as their low base price. I think that for me to actually obtain a gold coin in my town here, I would have to spend $1,300 or $1,400.
Man. Oh, wasn't there also a wait? I mean, there were some people that were buying gold, and they were actually being told, well, you got like a 6-month wait before you can get your hands on that. It's bullion, I believe it was.
I don't know about gold because I don't have enough money to buy gold, but I do have an experience. I do have an experience with silver, in which I wanted to buy a small quantity of silver coins as a, if you will, a retirement. And this small quantity had been promised to me by a local. It took me forever to find anybody in the state that even had any. And these guys are at a local mint up north of me arranged to get it to me. I committed the funds to it, and they said, well, it'll probably take 6 weeks, and it ended up taking 18. And we're not talking hundreds of coins. We're talking under 50 coins.
Jeez.
So, and this is just regular old bullion silver. So obtaining the physical is becoming quite difficult. I also know from subscribers and friends in foreign parts like Ukraine and a few of the other areas that the smuggling trade is no longer accepting any kind of paper currency related to the dollar, and that they're even discouraging the use of euros, and that this has put a big pressure on various forms of silver as currency throughout that part of the planet where a lot of goods are moved under the government radar. This will become very important because that's going to be a huge portion of the new economy that will emerge in 2009.
Yes.
As the dollar dies, a whole lot of things are predictable on their face, one of which is that the gray and black markets will become very dominant. And the government, used to be, the government of the United States was financed by our taxes. But the entire tax collection from all of the citizens and corporations of the United States now does not account for 1/4 of the revenues that the government spends. So they're spending 3/4 of their revenue in the form of debt. When that goes away, it's going to severely impact the government, going to cause all kinds of ripples like disgruntled employees coming on out and telling us the actual truth of what's been going on for decades as whistleblowers, because they won't be being paid anymore, and the threats against them will seem less harsh. But also we're going to see other effects in the sense of the new economies that will be emerging will be more local based. The successful ones anyway will be extremely locally focused, and to a certain extent it's a form of protectionism to the point where you even turn your back on your own federal government and say, we can do without you because we have to.
Yes, indeed. Let's see here. Some of the emails coming in. It says, Captain Jack, don't remember where I saw it, but one of Clif's predictions were a so-called evangelical shame event.
No, it was the evangelical unburdening. Okay, and they took it as, and there was indeed a lot of the language about shame on it. But and again, that was probably our monkey mind and our interpretation. That event, that process has begun. It began with the pointing of this purpose-driven fellow from some saddle something church in California to go and give the invocation for Obama. That started the whole process. That led to the visible scrubbing of his website to remove all of the hate language that was anti-gay on it. And they started removing shame items from their visible presence. So all that language has started to manifest. Now what we're waiting for is the next shoe to drop, so to speak, which will get into some kind of a scandal that, as usual, will involve money and sex.
Yes.
And in this case, it'll be some religious leaders that will be on the order of, let's just say, perverted, that will cause another ripple of shame to run through that particular community. So we're seeing the language manifest. So we were actually pretty accurate on that and had no idea that there was even anybody officially to give any kind of a religious blessing on these things, because I never really pay that much